Good evening. I'm going to call the March 16th, 2023 Finance meeting to order. I am here. Councilmember Jessica Brennan. Councilmember John De La Rada is not present yet. Councilmember McPartlin, Councilmember Ms. Moskowitz, Town Attorney Finnan, Town Comptroller Elizabeth Greenwood, Assistant to the Town Comptroller Janet Wynn. We have Seth Goldstein present, Chief Koshin, Lori Peretti, Ray Smith, Matt Yetto, Jean Fody. We have some members from the public present. Okay, we are all set. May I have a motion to approve the meeting minutes from the February 7th, 2023 Finance meeting?
Motion to approve the minutes from the February meeting.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, those meeting minutes are approved, and I have Laura Robertson just jumped in. So we're all set. Let's move on to items for action. We're going to start the meeting tonight by hearing from some members of the Town Logo Working Group. So tonight we'll hear from our town historian and also another member of that committee. Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Marie Bosman, and I chair this work group, as we call it, the Niskayuna Town Logo Work Group. Thank you for the time to provide you with an update of our work so far. On the agenda, I will just quickly remind you of the resolution that forms the backbone of this work, tell you about the members of the work group, our activities so far, what we've learned so far, ideals that we think we're developing for a new logo, some of our next steps, and then hopefully, if it's necessary, a little bit of a discussion. The resolution was passed on May 24th in 2022 to update the Niskayuna town's official logo to more accurately symbolize Niskayuna's past, present, and future. The resolution said to appoint a work group to study and review the logo, collect public input, and propose changes for a potential redesign, and that this work group should seek input and ideas through community outreach involving broad representation of town residents. We formed a work group. Our member, Dennis Brennan, town historian and educator, has been a resident since 1978. Myself have been here since 1999. I chair this work group. I'm a banker and a hobby anthropologist. We have Jocelyn McKinney, a resident since 1965. She is our note taker and a retired administrator and investigator. David Amadio, a resident since 2018 and an educator. On our work group, also John Lemelin, retired IT consultant and very involved in town matters and a resident since 2001. And Jennifer Wilkerson, resident since 1997, designer, artist, and marketer. And we CC on all our emails, Jamie Puccioni, Jason Moskowitz, and also Denise Watso. Our activities, this is a bit of a busy slide, but just to show you what we've done so far, we meet every month here at the town hall. We saw part of the first phase of our work as educating ourselves. We reviewed Niskayuna history. We looked at logos and seals around the region and around the country. We gathered some information about other places in the country where logo work or design work is ongoing to fix some errors that they had. And we made an effort to connect with Indigenous people. We talked to Denise Watso, a member of the Abenaki Nation. We talked to Kay Olin, a member of the Mohawk Nation. We visited exhibits, we did some reading, and we shared those learnings with each other. As far as the design development, we wanted to understand first, and in this process, I have to give kudos to Jennifer Wilkerson, professional graphic designer, who has helped us in this phase a lot. And her recommendation was that we as a group should first understand what it is that we want from a logo. So in that process, we completed an internal questionnaire and have a summary of that. We made sure there's a budget line item for design work in the town budget, and we connected with the Comprehensive Plan Committee since they're also reaching out to the community, and one of our next steps is to reach out to the community. Here's a few things that we learned. There's more, but we just picked some that are interesting. We've learned that this work is important because our logo has an error, and that needs to be corrected. We've learned that others are doing this work too. We're not the only ones in this work. Corrections and updates are being made around the country. About Niskayuna, we realize we're just another suburb in some ways. There are many such places around the US, but we have our own history, spirit, present life, and dreams for the future that can be uniquely represented. And we found that the name Niskayuna is utterly unique. A few things that define Niskayuna: our location next to the Mohawk River, our history, agricultural aspects, science, innovation, education, our safe and quiet neighborhoods, a well-managed town, a desirable place to live, and the meaning of the word Niskayuna that has to do with land where corn grows. From our conversations with people from indigenous nations, we learned that it is absolutely the right thing to remove this error. Some thoughts around the current logo that is outdated and somewhat cartoonish in its depictions. We learned that it's not necessary to depict any people or things or symbols or objects. All of those things could be limiting, and that an abstract depiction is possible. We should aim for inclusion. It should inspire. And for us to find how we represent ourselves, we should know our past, live in the present, understand our dreams for the future, and understand the values that drive us as a community. This is the current seal on the left, and then the current logo for Niskayuna. And one thing we are learning is that we would aspire to find a unified visual representation, to go forward with one representation as opposed to two. Ideals for a new logo. In summary, we'd like to create a logo that is a truthful image, symbol, or icon of the distinctiveness of Niskayuna. It should represent all of us. It should be inclusive, welcoming, and diverse, even as it cannot depict every aspect of it. It should be holistic in terms of our past, how we live today, and the future that we dream of, and the values we have as a community. Design-wise, we hope that we can find something that is simple and accurate, and that can be used and displayed appropriately across all official needs of the town. Our next steps after tonight, this updates to town leadership. Our work group will gather back to complete the questionnaire for the community based on the work we've done so far, and organize our community outreach. We have a long list of ideas, and we hope to do that over the next several months. Community connections would be to survey the community in a variety of ways. We'd like to arrange some publicity around the process, and then also eventually learn from the Comprehensive Plan Committee what they gather about Niskayuna. The design process will follow after the community work has been completed, and with some professional help also, we hope to understand from that and inform a design so that we can solidify the design ideas and develop proposals that we ultimately can bring back to the town board for recommendation. The specific timeline, we have not put any specific timeline to these aspects, but they play out in order as presented here. And that is it. Thank you very much. Any questions or any discussion?
I've got some questions.
Sure.
So maybe either you or Dennis can speak to the history of the seal that we have that's here on the podium and the logo, and when that logo, the one that we were using, came about.
The logo came about when we went during the 1976 bicentennial celebrations. and it was designed and started to be used. We don't have much information on the designer and that process from the town records, but it ties in with the bicentennial celebrations. The logo, we're also not sure, Dennis, our historian, where exactly that started, but
I have no idea when the logo began, we began using that logo, where it came from. Nobody can tell me. I suppose if I went back through enough of the town board meetings, you might find some reference to it at some point in time. It was certainly before 1995, because it's on the floor out there in the hallway.
Now, are you saying the seal or the
I'm talking
seal?
about the seal.
The seal, thank you, the
I
seal.
have no idea when the seal began to be used.
So we don't know if that's some sort of official seal or anything like that.
I don't know that either of them are official. I don't know that there was a resolution passed to make either of them an official seal, official logo.
Uh-huh. Okay, and so in your presentation there, you were saying we're hoping to get to one logo seal instead of the two that we have now. Is that right?
that's one of the aspirations. Of course, this will all be recommendations coming to the board, but in our work, we realized that would be very desirable.
Okay, great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I would just like to say in the little bit of notes that I was able to take during your presentation, it's clear you've put in an incredible amount of work, like volunteer hours to investigate this issue and do it in a really thoughtful way. And I really appreciate the amount of educating that you did for yourselves and educating each other, engaging in some internal discussions and questionnaires. I was more than happy to allocate funds in the budget to this effort. And I also really appreciate your engaging with Indigenous populations to gain a better understanding and try to be culturally responsive. I think that's really important. I also recognize and want to value that other communities are engaging in this process. And it's not a matter of, something was done wrong purposefully. It's that as we learn and we grow, we do better. As we know better, we do better. And so I want to thank you for just bringing that to our attention. And I just want you to know that we can offer support for your survey work. We have someone who is our intern working for the town for the next 9 months, who will be helping with surveys related to policing and public safety, but he's also available to help with other survey development and implementation and analysis in the upcoming months. So that is a resource that you are welcome to draw upon, and to please reach out to my office to coordinate that. And again, if there's something that my office can do to support your efforts, I will absolutely help you in that process.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Thank you.
That's great. Thank you.
I'd like to just dovetail off of something Dr. Puccioni said. Something that really just stood out to me on one of the slides was that you said when you talked to Indigenous people, one of the outcomes was it needs to be fixed, which spoke to me that someone's feeling disrespected. And that is it just says it all, I think, right there, that we need to remedy this. So thank you for your hard work on this.
Just a quick comment on that.
Yeah.
That is true in a way, but our conversations were very positive. It was along the lines of what Jamie just said. As we learn better, we do better. Those conversations were very positive, and very helpful. So even though there's a problem, those weren't hard or negative conversations.
It sounds very collaborative, which you're going to get the best product when everyone's like-minded and thinking together and maybe questioning maybe not like-minded, maybe questioning each other and brainstorming. So
Yes.
thank you for putting in all this work. It's a lot of volunteer hours and it's appreciated.
We enjoy it.
Are there any other questions, comments? Okay, thank you so much. Please follow up with my office. Okay, thanks.
Thank you. Great work, great work.
Okay, moving on. Beth, I'll go ahead and give the floor to you.
All right. The first resolution we're going to have is the resolution to purchase playground equipment. I did not print out the entirety of the state contract that it's a part of the state bid, but I included that electronically, and that'll go over to Elena. And this is part of the grant to do the playground work that is an accessible playground. The next one is a resolution to change the June town board meeting date in order to coordinate this space for the primary voting. The next is a resolution.
What date is that?
It moves to the Thursday, and I apologize, I don't have that date on the top of my head.
We did
I want to say
send,
the 23rd, but I don't remember.
I know there was email communication sent out about it.
June 22nd is
Second, I'm sorry.
that's the fourth Thursday.
Thank you.
Right, I've got now the 13th and now the 22nd. We had the 29th on my calendar. That's what I had. I don't know.
I have the 27th, but I think we're aiming to move it to the 29th.
I have the 27th as well.
I have the 29th.
Well, you know what that
Why
means.
don't we do that as a tentative resolution?
Thank
And
you.
then we'll look into exactly what date it was and if it does need to be moved to accommodate.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
All right, I had a resolution to reimburse a deductible. And just so everybody's aware, I had sent that paperwork. We had a person who had parked their vehicle in the town parking lot in a space as they are meant to do. Unfortunately, one of the town plows hit that vehicle. The individual did submit through our insurance, but because of the nature of plowing, our insurance will not cover the damages. The person is just looking to have their deductible reimbursed, not the several $1,000s of damage, but just the $500 of the deductible. So that's what that is about.
Is there a past practice for doing that?
We do give people money when our plows knock off their mailboxes. There's a form that goes through the highway department for that to pay for the damage to mailboxes. So that is a like thing that we do. I don't believe we've had a plow hit a vehicle in years and years.
And this is in our parking lot.
It was parked in our parking lot while the person was in this building. So it was just an unfortunate accident. Nobody was doing naughty things or anything. It just, sometimes things happen.
Yes, it's my understanding it wasn't the plow necessarily. It was backing up and backing into.
Yeah.
Well, it was not reckless plowing.
It was not reckless. No, there was nothing reckless going on. It was just unfortunate. So. The next one is a resolution to permanently appoint a water and sewer maintenance worker 2, which is an in-house promotion. Beyond that, the next one is a resolution to update the town fund balance policy. The reason for this, I did send around the Office of the State Comptroller updated their handbook on reserves last year. With that update, our old fund balance policy was based on the previous version of that document, and it didn't work with this new document. So the New York, I'm losing my mind today, GFOA sent out a recommendation for how to update the policies. They just sent exemplary policies of recommendations on how to update based on that change. So all I did was take their exemplary policy and update ours to their wording. So it's just an administrative update, I guess, for lack of a better description. The next one is a resolution to sign a contract. This is, we have a contract to assist us with managing our 207C policies. We've used this particular individual for several years. They do excellent work for us. We just need to update the contract. The next is a resolution to call for a public hearing for a local law. And this has to do with the firefighter exemption for volunteer firefighters on their taxes. And Eric is not here to further discuss that.
Yes.
He's not here. Essentially, what it would be is a 10% tax exemption on the real property taxes for any volunteer firefighters who are working within one of our fire districts and residing in the town. So the county recently adopted something. What we're looking to do is essentially adopt something very similar and mimic what they've done, but we have to do it per local law and hold a public hearing on it first.
And while I have the floor, I just, Eric provided some data for us, and the average impact per parcel would be about 28 cents. And in my recommendation, that is worth having our volunteer firefighter force. These folks are on call sometimes 24 hours per call. They, you know, their calls can last from 30 minutes to an hour, and they have an average of 10 calls per week. That's any time of the day, right? This year in itself, we've had 3 fatal accidents in which our volunteer firefighters had to respond to those calls. And, you know, a lot of volunteer hours and a lot of emotional strain responding to those calls and engaging in that work. And we have firefighters of the year who, you know, on average, do at least 250 call hours per year. That's not including the additional training that they do, education and training. So, you know, our volunteer firefighters, we have 3 fire districts, 1 professional with volunteer firefighters. That's our Fire District 1, which Councilmember Moskowitz is a member of. And we've got Fire District 2, and we've got Stanford Heights Fire. So, you know, these are members of our community who volunteer a lot of hours, a lot of time away from their family to serve our community. You know, I'm in support of this, and I couldn't be more proud of the work that these folks do. And I think this is something that they absolutely deserve. I came with statistics. All right.
The next is a resolution to call for a public hearing to set the sewer rates. Beyond that, we have a tentative resolution for the supervisor to sign MOAs with the highway and water and sewer unions regarding CDL driver training instructors, the stipends that would go along with that program that we're developing for the town to be able to train our own CDL drivers in-house. Then we have 2 items that are going to need finance approval. The first is approval for a commercial appraisal for the property at 2317 Balltown Road.
This is one of our Article 7 tax surcharge matters that is nearing trial, and we had a court-ordered appraisal, so it was ordered by the court, and this is the costs for that. So I just need finance approval for it. It's 2317 Balltown Road, Parkland Management.
Does anyone have any additional questions or discussion?
I'll recuse myself on any discussions in that particular matter.
Okay. All those in favor of the approval for commercial appraisal of 2317 Balltown Road signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, that is approved.
Okay. The next item is approval to replace brushes on 2 JWX augers. That I believe might have been set for a tentative resolution under Public Works before, but it's coming in at 8,000, so it's under the resolution requirement. And that invoice was included in the packet.
Okay, thank you. All those in favor of approving the replacement of a brush on 2 JWX augers in the amount of $8,000, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, that is approved.
Okay, and then finally, we will have certain budgetary modifications that'll be all put together by the time of the board meeting.
Okay, thank you so much. It looks like everything else are resolutions on this agenda. Does anybody have anything from the floor? Anything to add from the floor? All right, that's all we have for tonight's finance meeting agenda. At this time, I'll make a motion to adjourn. Do I have a second?
Second.
All those signify by saying aye.
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 All right, we stand adjourned and we'll move into our agenda committee meeting at 7 PM.